Hello guys, today we are going to discuss social religious causes. Do you get? We have completed political causes. Now we are going to study social religious causes. First one, the first cause is interference with social customs. Some of the social reforms introduced by the British in India were aimed at improving the conditions of the people. Some of the reforms introduced by British were aimed at improving the conditions of people. Some reforms are useful for us. However, while introducing such reforms, the feelings of the people were not taken into consideration. While introducing that social reforms, they did not take into consideration. They did not look at the feelings of people while taking into the consideration. The result was that the reforms like the abolition of sati in 1829, the introduction of the Widow Remarriage Act and the opening of the Western education to girls were not welcomed by the masses. First cause, do you understand the first cause? It is very simple. Some of the social reforms are introduced by Britishers are useful for us, but they didn't look at us, look upon our feelings. That's why disease also became one cause. Second cause is apprehensions about modern innovations. People were suspicious of introduction of modern innovations like railways and telegraph. People became suspicious of introducing railways and telegraph. There were rumors. There were some rumors. What are they? That the telegraph poles were erected to hang those who were against the British rule. See, one rumor is that telegraph poles were erected for who? The people, the person who is acting against the Britishers, who is against the British. He will be hanged to the poles. This is one rumor. Similarly, Orthodox Indians noted that in the railway compartments, the higher castes and the lower castes were made to sit side by side. In railway compartments, the higher caste and the lower caste, the castes are there na, higher caste, lower caste. They will be sitting side by side only. No discrimination, high caste, lower caste. That's they believed that the British had to introduce such practices to defy their caste and religion. They believed British had introduced such practices to defy their caste and religion. Okay. The third cause. What is the third cause? Policy of racial discrimination. The British officers were rude and arrogant towards the Indians. Did you see? The British officers are very rude and arrogant. Means they are not behaving with us properly, with proper behavior. They are very rude and arrogant. They believed that they were superior to Indians, and followed a policy of contempt towards the Indians. They believed that the Britishers believed that they are superior to Indians. They believed that they are the superiors, and followed a policy of contempt. Okay. They dubbed the Mughal as cruel and unfaithful. Some European officers ill-treated and insulted Indians. Such acts of unjust discrimination alienated the British from the Indian masses. Do you understand? They dubbed the Mughals as cruel and unfaithful. They created Mughals as a cruel and unfaithful. The fourth cause is the police and petty officials were corrupt. The rich got away with crime, but the common man was looted, oppressed, and tortured. The police and officials were corrupt. They do corruption, police and officers. And the rich got away with crime. The rich persons are doing crimes, but the common man was looted. Means they have no money. They receive land from them. These all, but and tortured. The poor people were tortured by the Britishers. Oppression of the poor. The complex judicial system enabled the rich to oppress the poor. The complex judicial system. The complex judicial system enabled the rich to oppress the poor. They enable to oppress rich to poor. Torture and imprisonment of cultivators for their inability to pay up arrays of rent, land revenue, and interest on debt were quite common. They were tortured and imprisonment by the Britishers for their inability to pay. Means there is no possible to pay for them because they have no money and inability to pay land revenue and interest for them. The growing poverty made the poor desperate and led them to join a general uprising in hope of improving their lot. Activities of missionaries. In that I have taken the main point. The British began to interfere, which is closed in brackets. The British began to interfere with the local religious and social customs. They began to interfere with the local religious and social customs, and they denounced the aerial worship and dubbed local belief as ignorance. They denounced idol worship and local beliefs as ignorance. Seventh cause, the fears regarding Western education. The Western system of education was introduced in a number of schools. Western system of education was introduced in a number of schools. In 1829, the Bengal government established an English class in the Kolkata Madrasa, which was a Muslim institution. In the year 1829, the Bengal government established an English class. Bengal government established an English class in Calcutta, which was a Muslim institution. It was a institution of Muslims. Later, the English classes were introduced in Benares Sanskrit College. Later English classes are also introduced in Benares Sanskrit College. The shifting of emphasis from Oriental learning to Western education was not received well by the people, especially the Pandits and the Maharashis. Shifting of emphasis from Oriental learning to Western education. Oriental learning means oral learning to Western education. The shifting of system from Oriental learning to Western education was not received well by the people. It was not received well because it takes time, no? Shifting the changes occurred. We will also change. We have to accompany that. Pandits and the Maghis. They saw it an attempt to discourage traditional Islamic and the Hindu studies. Okay, the next cause, which means it caused the taxing religious places. Religious sentiments of the Indians were hurt by the official policy of taxing lands to temples and mosques. Religious sentiments of the people were hurt by official policy of taxing lands belonging to temples and mosques. Such lands had been exempted from taxation by previous Indian rulers. The lands had been exempted from taxation. Those lands are exempted from taxation by previous Indian rulers. The ninth cause is the law of property. The Religious Disabilities Act of 1850 changed the Hindu law of property. Religious Disabilities Act, this is one act of 1850, changed the Hindu law of property. It changed the Hindu law of property. It enabled a convert from Hinduism to other religions to inherit the property of his father. It made it possible to convert from Hinduism to other religions the property of his father. Okay, next, economic causes. Sorry, I didn't 10th page. You can check here. Okay, I will explain once again. 8th cause, taxing religious places. Religious sentiments of the Indians were hurt by official policy of taxing lands belonging to temples and mosques. The religious sentiments, the sentiments of the Indian people were hurt because policy of taxing lands belongings to Muslims, mosques and temples. They had to pay taxes for temples and mosques also. See, such conditions were made for Indian people in year 1857. Such lands had been exempted from taxation by previous Indian rulers. The families dependent on these lands began to propagate that the British were trying to undermine the religions of India. They tried to undermine the religions of India. The law of property, the Religious Disabilities Act. The Act of 1850, which was called as the Religious Disabilities Act, changed the Hindu law of property. It changed the Hindu law of property. It enabled a convert from Hinduism to other religions too, which was the property of his father, and it give the permission, means it has it gives the possibility to convert from Hinduism to other religions to inherit the property of his father. Okay, guys, what we discussed today is socio-religious causes. There are 9 causes. What are they? Tell. Interference with social customs. Second cause, apprehensions about modern innovations. Third one, policy of racial discrimination, corruption in administration, oppression of the poor, activities of missionaries, fears regarding Western education, taxing religious places, law of property. Today we have studied these points. Tomorrow we will discuss economic causes. There are 8 causes. On military causes are 8 causes. Same 8. We will discuss. This lesson was very big. Okay, guys. Thank you for your patience. Please subscribe to my channel if you like this video. Share, like, and comment. Thank you, friends.